Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Arrested here at the Ecuadorian embassy.
So, what you hear is me in Williamsburg, Virginia. I'm out here broadcasting live, having a lot of fun. And today I was awakened to the excitement that was simply Jullian Assange being arrested. And a long time coming. We're talking 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy, eating guinea pig and waiting for Pamela Anderson to come visit him once every few months. For some, he's a hero. For others, he's the anti-hero. And it's going to be very interesting to see what takes place in the coming, weeks and months and whether or not we're going to get him. And the reason that they went in and got him today was pretty simplistic. They said that he had skirted the law when it comes to something that he was originally going to be potentially prosecuted for in Sweden that had to do with rape. That has since passed, but he did jump bail. And in jumping bail, he's put himself in a bad situation where they were able to, with a wink, wink, and a nudge, nudge by the president of Ecuador, go in and take him. Now he faces the real prospect of coming to the United States of America. That's just it. He faces the real prospect. You had Chelsea Manning, you had Snowden. All of it circles back to this craziness that went on before the election and during the election and after the election. And now it's the what-if scenario when this is all said and done. And I don't know what it's going to look like. I could not tell you what's going to happen. One thing's for sure, that the British do not extradite people to countries that have the death penalty. In theory, Jullian Assange could face the death penalty. Do I think that is going to happen? I do not think that is going to happen. I do not think he's going to face the death penalty. What I think we want to know is, what information do you have? And I don't know if you guys remember that movie. It was The Rock, right? And that was with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, another one of his fine acting performances. Just the worst, isn't he? So this guy was supposedly part of MI5 and Scotland Yard, and he knew all these secrets, and they buried him away without giving him a trial and the whole 9 yards. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do know that if I'm Jullian Assange, the secrets that he must have, because he's got real get-out-of-jail-free cards. He doesn't have Michael Cohen, well, let me tell you, I got something else over here. No, he's got real get-out-of-jail-free cards. Real ones. Not fake ones, real ones. He's got information and stuff that could potentially be absolutely globally shattering to a lot of nations. So it can be very interesting to see what happens with him. And as an American, you look at all of this stuff. For us here, for the Democrats, they care about, like, where did you get this? Who gave it to you? Is it Russia? Russia. Everything's Russia, right? Everything is Russia. It's Russia, 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 Russia. It's all Russia. They want to know that. For me, of any of this stuff, I want to know how long we've been spying on ourselves. I want to know how long America has been spied on. I want to know a lot of different things. But we're not going to know a lot of different things. Because even if he came out today and he delivered to the powers that be to get out of jail, the only reason they're going to take him is because they want skin in the game too. Understand that. That's a lot of what this is, right? Hey, Jullian, what do you know? What do you have? What can I have that's yours? I'm just curious. What can I have that's yours? Not because I want the public to know, but because I want to have other skin in the game that I may deliver to somebody else down the road when we need a favor. Is he going to do time? I don't know. He's going to be extradited. He'll be here. He'll be on American soil sooner rather than later. And then it's how many charges are they going to give him? What are they going to actually do? They're going to send it back to Sweden first, and then we're going to get him. How is this going to work? Is this a free-for-all? And I think Ecuador had also gotten to the point, because you got to remember, too, Ecuador allowing us to go in there and snatch him up, or the British to snatch him up, was pretty big, because you're essentially on Ecuadorian soil. So you're going in, you're coming into their area. You have no jurisdiction in that area, and them allowing that is pretty interesting. But he is gone, he is done, he's dusted, and now it's the sit and wait. And trust me, I'm sure there's a lot of global leaders out there who have always thought, I wonder if he got that stuff. Yeah, that stuff. That stuff that I don't want anybody to know about, that stuff that could put our allies into the enemies category, our stuff that could, who many people think are our enemies, make us, strange bedfellows. He's got a bunch of that stuff. You know he does. We've not seen his entire hand. And I think that it's funny because I'm talking to a bunch of people today. I'm out here at this convention out here in Williamsburg, and I was talking to a bunch of people, and they're like, they want to know about, it's Russia, and it's this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yes. They're like, but he's probably already shown his hands. I said, he's not shown an ounce of what he has. You don't do that, right? You don't. In a situation like this, you keep everything so close to your vest. The opportunity is coming because you knew you weren't going to live in the Ecuadorian embassy forever, although I still thought 7 years is a long time, no matter how nice the embassy is, right? Like, even agoraphobics are like, this guy really needs to leave. I mean, he's in there a long time. 7 years is a long time to be there. But he's not shown any of his hand. Not shown any of his hand. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. By the way, if people don't realize that Chelsea Manning she is in jail because she's not talking, and she broke. They brought her in. They wanted to talk to her. They wanted to ask her questions about certain things. She refused to answer, so they've held her. And so this is like one of these situations where, we're going to see who is first to blink and how that works out. And a lot of people, because Jullian Assange was a journalist, for those of you who don't understand anything about Jullian Assange, he was a journalist. And one of the things that people were saying was, well, journalists don't, when they get stuff, they're usually, if they print it, if they release it, they're not in trouble for it because they didn't procure it. What we're saying is he had an absolute hand in procuring it. He was just as guilty as the hackers, and some people are saying he was part of the hacking team that was able to get that stuff at his behest, at his direction. So he wasn't a person who just came in contact with an anonymous source who was handed a bunch of information, that he was actively looking. And that's how it's much different than, say, a journalist, you're working at the Washington Post or the New York Times or the LA Times, and somebody hands you something, a source. You didn't steal it. You didn't order somebody to steal it, but you have it. So you're not guilty of anything. Where they're saying, oh, this is totally different. This guy is guilty because this was what he wanted to do. He wanted to steal secrets and to show the world, look what your leader's doing. Look at what all of your leaders are doing. Look at what's going on right now. And so it's a very interesting situation because for a lot of journalists, today, I was talking to a few of them, my friends who are journalists, They're not, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, flamethrowers. They're journalists. And they were saying, you worry about something like this, but then you also realize how much of a hand did he have in this, right? Because he set this up to be something where you leaked. And how much of a hand did he play into getting people that maybe came to him with stuff to go get more stuff? Did he put together a team to go out and get stuff? And there's a lot of questions being asked about that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. It is again, it's a very interesting situation with him, and we'll see what takes place. The other interesting situation is William Barr, and so many people I've been listening today talk about Barr and his whole situation where he wants to look into how we got to the point where there was a Mueller investigation. And watching people today go after Barr and talk about, well, he's a stooge for Trump. First of all, every AG, right? You could look, Eric Holder was the best wingman that Barack Obama ever had. He was absolutely the wingman. As you know what? That's why you put people in place that you think you can trust. It sounds like, oh, you shouldn't do that. No, you do that, right? You work at a company, right? You go in and you have a company. You know what you have? You have your wingman. You have that person that you work with that you know you can trust, right? Now, you don't want them to bend the law or break the law. But you also, you know what? They're going to be the person that runs cover for you in certain situations. You don't think Eric Holder ran cover for Barack Obama? Hell yes, he did. Absolutely he did. 110%. Barack Obama readily admitted it. Still to this day, he's covering for him in a lot of ways. And I find it to be very interesting that people are like, well, I can't believe they're doing this. No, I think, you know what? Just as much as America needs to know what's in the Mueller report, as much as we can know by law, I think on the other side of things, just as much of America is also interested to find out how do we get to a point where a poorly written dossier ended up being something that started an investigation on the President of the United States and the President-elect that seemed to be shopped around and in many ways piecemealed together. I think we have every right to find out, was there some nefariousness there? Was there something there? Was there there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Your tweet at me. Beautiful Williamsburg. It is gorgeous today. I was just outside a little while ago. I am not far. This was crazy about it. I was talking to my son last night. We're a couple hundred yards away from where Patrick Henry, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. I mean, like right there. It's like these are, the places I'm sitting, I'm doing the show for them. This is where our founding fathers were walking at one point, and it really brings it home. Plus, it's interesting, too, because I feel like I'm on a movie set because the colonial homes, well, they're quite colonial. And you feel like you're in a movie set, and there's a lot of people dressed up. So when you're in the little community here, they're dressed up like it because tourists are here. So it's an interesting, very interesting thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Car Shield is amazing. They treat me amazing. And I will tell you this right now. If you have a car and you care about your car, sometime between now and sooner rather than later, you hope something doesn't go wrong. But usually sooner comes really fast. And then what do? You got to take it in and get it fixed. With Car Shield, what you're going to get is 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And the shop is the shop you choose, which I find to be the best thing about this thing is you get to choose the shop. So you're going to get your car cared for correctly. Take it to the dealership if you want. They get it handled correctly. They've paid out so much money in cover repairs, and they're ready to help you. Save yourself thousands of future car repairs. Do what I did. Get Car Shield, right? It's amazing. They got a new phone number. It's 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Right, when you do, you make sure you use my promo code Benson or go to carshield.com, promo code Benson. Check out all the plans they have. Maybe you need a certain specific plan for a motorcycle, whatever it is that you're driving. They will protect you. You pay a small deductible and away you go. Carshield.com. Use promo code Benson. Save you 10% right there. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Free Assange! Free Assange! Free Assange!
Free Assange! Come on, it's a little funny. Free Jullian Assange. There was a song in the 80s called Free Nelson Mandela. And I don't think it's going to be the same thing with Jullian Assange. He's been charged with conspiracy to hack. So that will be the charges. They will come after him. I don't think that what they won't do is the espionage charge, which would carry the death penalty. I don't think they'll do that. So that way he'll be able to be extradited here. And again, for us, it's more about information gathering than anything. Who was involved? Who else was involved? And I'm sure there were more people besides Chelsea Manning and Snowden that were involved that they want to know about. And are they still working for the United States government, whether as a government employee or a contractor? And secondly, what information do you have? Because this is the way I look at somebody like Jullian Assange is, in fact, this is British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt on Jullian Assange.
No one is above the law. Jullian Assange is no hero. He is hidden from the truth for years and years. And it is right that his future should be decided in the British judicial system.
Yeah, and the thing that is interesting is somebody who's a hero is going to – he hid in an area. He didn't want to face the firing squad, if you will. It's not going to be executed. It's not going to happen. He hid in an area. Right, that to me is kind of a telling thing. Come out, be big, be bold. You wanted to, but you ran from it, and I think the opportunity in some way to show your cojones was real, and you didn't come up with it. You didn't. You failed at doing that. I would have, for him, I mean, he spent 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy. And it was just it's a weird situation. But he's going to face conspiracy charges, and he's going to face numerous charges, some in Europe because he jumped bail. And they're going to look at how they deal with that in Sweden, but also here, when and if we get him, I still think it'll be sooner rather than later. I will be. I do. The one Brexit that is going to happen is Julian Assange is going to Brexit. For sure. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Trump is on his usual Twitter capade this morning, just out twittering. And he seems to be enjoying the twittering. And I'm curious to see how he handles this situation, because he did say he loved WikiLeaks. He did say he loved a lot of those things. He did push it at times. What it means for Jullian, is there something here with Trump where, Trump's going to get him here and say it's better me than the next guy, and, you're going to spend a few years in jail here potentially. Look, nobody wants to come to jail here. Nobody does. I have seen jails around the world. I've seen those shows, and for as bad as some of the environment is in some of those places, our jail is literally soul-crushing in a way that you don't find elsewhere. In the way that you're locked up, in the way that you are separated, in the way that you just don't find it in other places. Other places around the globe, they don't have maybe the facilities. You're not getting a cable television in some of the places, and it's kind of it's third worldy. But here it is soul-crushing. It is a sterile environment where it is dangerous and sterile, and it's all meant to break, for a lot of people, their minds, and that'll be interesting. But in the end, it's all about one thing for Jullian. What card do you have to play? And he's got one. What does that card look like? Who do you have hidden away there in that card where you can say, if this got out, you guys are screwed? So you better watch what you do. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We got some immigration stuff. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Look, I represent the largest state, the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. I live in a state and govern a state where 27% of us are foreign-born, where half the El Salvadoran population resides. Close to 40% of our state's Hispanic. By the way, that's the future of America.
That's the future, people, of America. That's the future of America. Look, diversity is here, and I got no problem with diversity. People say, Chad, you're diversity. Diversity is a good thing when it's organic and real. When it's done legally, too, by the way. Can we just all raise our hands in here? Legally? Yeah, there's nobody in the room with me. I'm in this giant ballroom by myself out here. But legally is vitally important. And Gavin Newsom there doesn't care. He is just all about, hey, this is what we're doing, and screw you guys, and screw the taxpayers, screw the citizens. Yesterday, my Uber drive, I was driving with a guy, African-American, who is a Democrat, can't stand Trump. We were talking yesterday because we're not too far from Charlottesville. He calls it Trumpville. And he said to me, I'll tell you one thing, though. We need to fix immigration. He goes, we can't just have people come in here. And and we had this really nice conversation about immigration. He goes, look, I don't like Trump. I don't like – he goes, some of the stuff he does, and I can get behind. He goes, I'm not crazy or anything, but by and large, we need to fix immigration, though. We just can't have people showing up here and coming here and getting everything they ever wanted. For what? That's not fair. He goes – and then he said something, too. He says, it's not fair for the black community. He goes – and he goes, I feel like we're getting tossed aside again. And look, I've said this a long time, and I'll continue to say this. I have news for you. As soon as people that have come here from different countries have a chance to be legalized and can vote Democrat, African-American voters, you need to wake up. Republicans, you need to wake up. It's coming. This was always the end goal. You just thought it would kind of go on forever and not really have any chance of happening, but they're going to try to make it happen, right? Just like you thought forever you could play crony capitalism and turn a blind eye and allow your donors to continue to have cheap labor, drive down the cost of wages across the board. That is not a victory at all, and you're going to pay for it. Gavin Newsom, continue, sir.
California has gone through the phobia. We've gone through the nativism in our past. 2019 in America is a lot like the 1990s in California. We went through the same process of reconciling this diversity and realizing that it's a strength, and ultimately recognizing the border not as an impenetrable wall, but as a way to manage cross-border collaboration, cross-border economic development.
Which, you know what, like, oh, that sounds good. And by the way, nativism, white nationalism, patriotism, I've heard, that's a bad thing to have. It's all a bunch of crap. You know what? It's a culture. We need to remember that. The reason people are coming here to this country, legally and illegally, is because we have built a culture that is successful across the board. No time in human history has there ever been a civilization, ever been a country, ever been a certain group of people that have ever been this technologically advanced, economically advanced. Never. We have everything. We do. The reality is there's never been a better time to be alive in the world than today, and in this country in particular. There's a reason people come here. So when you want to have this, hey, you know what, I got a great idea. We're going to invite everybody over here. We're going to let them all come in. We're going to give them anything that they need. And we're going to give them driver's licenses. We're going to give them opportunities to do this. We're going to give them opportunities to that. Now, we said we weren't going to do this originally, but now we are going to do this. When you start to have that happen, and you're not in your end game, people are starting to see through. But the reality is you're telling everybody, hey, if you want people to come here, and how dare you say, well, you need to blend, right? You need to acclimate yourself to society. You need to put yourself into society. You need to become that which you seek. And we're like, nah, you just do you, boo. You do you. That's the frustration so many people have. Plus, it's illegal. Yes, there's that too. But the reality is it's just the way it's gone about doing it. And when we start to lose our culture, that's one of the big fights. You see the Brexit fight. One of the big things that the British are very, very proud, right? When I lived in England, they were very proud. They loved being English. They didn't want to lose that. And they used to look at the continent and think, I don't want to lose who we are. And then people say, well, you're a nationalist, or they would throw something out there. Culture's important. It is. And a diverse culture is great. But when it's organic, when it's real, when it's done in a way, though, that we realize that when you come here, and if you're going to come here right, because I guarantee you, the people that you see becoming citizens, more often than not, are as proud, if not prouder, to be an American than a lot of people that are born and raised here. But a lot of people that are coming here, they're only using us as a booty call. And we need to figure out who that is. Immigration is a subject that's not going to go anywhere, though, anytime soon. And the reality is this. You're going to have different rules in different places, kind of like we do with marijuana, right? This state legalizes it. Federally, it's illegal, but we're going to turn a blind eye. And you're going to continue to see this battle go on and on and on and on. And the reason is until we find people who are willing to put the people ahead of a party, who are willing to break ranks with the other side, who are not about political rhetoric, we're going to continue to get this over and over and over and over. And it's sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Michael Avenatti, 36 counts against him today. 36 counts. And I still think what he did with Nike was awful, but most of these counts they're going after him have very little to do with that, all to do with wire fraud. I think you're going to find out he was living in a house of cards in a windstorm. It was all falling apart, and he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then he was robbing Paul to pay himself, and then he robbed Peter, Paul, and Mary, and then he went over and robbed the Beatles. It was an awful situation that people got themselves mixed up with this guy, and he used he punched above his weight class financially. He was able to get his big mouth on television and do the things that he did, but in the end, I was talking to a lawyer the other day, one of my friends who got out of the lawyer business because he said it was so awful. He says he gives ambulance chasers a bad name. I said I can see that. I can absolutely see that he gives ambulance chasers a bad name. And now he faces like some serious 36 counts and some of these wire fraud. I mean, he's got he's looking at real time. But he did expose Nike in a way that even though it's that ugly little secret out there, that he exposed Nike for something that a lot of people have always known about, and that simply is that, Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and all of these big companies, you're not chasing these kids when they become professionals. You're grooming these kids along the way when they're children into their teenage years and through until they become professionals. And along the way, somehow, mom, aunt, grandma, mom and dad seem to get a few things thrown at them, and nobody knows how they do it. Everybody knows how it's done. But if you want to get this stuff out of college sports and things like that, there's ways of going about doing it. But he did expose Nike in a way that they haven't had it exposed, and they're going to have some answering. And in particular, what's happening with Zion Williamson, who many people say that Nike took care of his mom to the tune of some decent money. And it's going to be very interesting to see what all of this comes out, because he's got nothing to lose. And as we all know, and we'll find out with Jullian Assange, when you have nothing to lose, you throw everything against the wall. You do. So there's a woman, her eye hurt. Goodness me. Check this story out.
At least you don't have bees under your eyes. Doctors treating a Taiwanese woman for a swollen eye were shocked to find 4 tiny bees living under her left eyelid. Apparently, the woman had been visiting a family member's grave. She thinks that's when the insects flew into her eye. Experts say bees are known to live near graves and fallen trees. And listen to this. The bees were living off of her tears.
Oh, my God. Living off of her tears. It's like snowflakes, right? Living off the tears. So what they said is she was pulling weeds. She thought she got something in her eye, and it was bothering her, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and worse and worse and worse and worse. And finally, it swollen up to the point where it was unbearable pain. She didn't know what to do. She went to the hospital, and underneath the doctor's little scope there, he's like, I think I see a leg. And they pulled this thing out, and they were like, oh, no, this can't be. And they pulled another one. And the bees weren't like we think, honeybees or just they're these small bees that are essentially, they call them sweat bees. Because these bees will land on you, and they will actually, off your perspiration, they'll drink and live off of that, and that's why they were living off the tears. She's going to be fine, but it's just, every year I was telling people you have to go and you have to look these stories up 3, 4, 5 different places, because you're not quite sure. Like, is this a real story? Like, is this real? It's like, is there something living inside of you? And I'll watch those ER shows where, like, was a Monster Within, I think it's what it's called, Monster Inside, where somebody gets a parasite, and it's one of those things where, and she had 4 of them living in her eye, but she's going to be fine. And they said the reason that her eye survived is because she had a contact in, and obviously she doesn't take it out. And because of that, it stopped it from getting worse. But, oh, jeez, man, that's a beep. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. A lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to get to it all. Let me tell you something, guys. 70% of men out there don't get checked for ED. Just don't do it. You don't, right? You don't want to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room. It's just, it's no big deal. It's just You just don't. I mean, look, guys, we don't get checked for anything, right? You twist your arm, you hurt your back, I'll be fine, I'll walk it off. Edie's the same way, and a lot of it has to do with our ego. We don't want to go to the doctors, we want to sit in the room, it's going to be comfortable, all that stuff. So we ignore the problem. Don't. Roman has made it so easy. You have no idea where you can get seen by a real doctor. You do everything from the comfort of your home and get real medicine shipped directly to you in an unmarked package. Doesn't get any easier than that. You just go to GetRoman.com/Benson. When you're there, you do a dynamic form, you fill it out, then you speak to the doctor. It's all done online. And right now, I'm telling you, it's just the best way to do it. And Roman has figured out how to do it. And it takes away that stigma, the uncomfortableness, the going to the pharmacy, and it gets shipped right to your door. Do it right now. Free online visit. It's on me. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. 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 At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we make no apologies, although we do say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers now and then. Amen.
My Instagram account got deleted. I'm trying to get it back. I'm calling everybody I can. I'm in LA because I want to be on Instagram, and I am nothing without my following. I am nothing without my following. I want to say to everybody that's been reporting me, think twice because you're ruining my life. Because I make all of my money online. All of it. And I don't want to lose that.
That right there is Jesse with a Y, Taylor, who had a massive meltdown because apparently she went to her Instagram account and it was no more. And here's the sad thing. And there's the funny thing. First of all, you saying you're nothing without your following, that's not a good thing to say. Right? That's not. Like, you are whoever you think you are. And if you think you're nothing, then I guess you are nothing. But I don't, you're a human being and you should think of yourself in much better terms. But I get it. Like, any human being would feel that way, right? No, they wouldn't, Chad, if I lost my Instagram. No, you wouldn't. But if you lost your job, how many people's lives are tied up in their jobs and they feel like if I lost this job or that job or my career, I'd feel like nothing. Or a career is stupid. Yeah, but it pays her $4,000 a month. So if you lost your job, how would you feel, even though I don't know if I would do this? Continue, Miss Jessie.
And I know people like to see me be down and be like them and be like the 90%ers, the people that work 9 to 5. That is not me. I am in LA to not be like that. I worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And for that to get taken from me is the worst feeling in the world. It literally sucks having people want to come after you for no reason, and it hurts. And I don't think people understand that, like, this is my life.
She's not happy. And look, I don't know what she did, right? And I've, you go onto Instagram and there is a lot of questionable things, people who post stuff and people say, oh, how do they earn money? Well, some of them are influencers and the way that they influence people, whether it's a product or this, that, and the other that they may do. And some of them, what they do is they tease you into going over and buying pictures or seeing videos of them or getting more access to them and the whole 9 yards. And, she said she made like $4,000 a month. I mean, that's, she doesn't want to be a 9 to 5er. No problem with that. I don't. The way you're handling it, the way you feel about it, but it is work. And I was always trying to explain it because I'm hanging out with people today who are a little bit older. They think it was funny, and I'm like, yeah, but could you imagine if let's say you were a lawyer and they came one day and said, well, we're taking away your license, you can't practice anymore, and you're not quite sure why. Maybe somebody didn't like the way you did something. You'd freak out, and your livelihood being snatched away, that'd make you feel a little bit uncomfortable if you put it in context of who she is. She's, she's a drama queen, and that's part of why people followed her, right? Plus, she's not ugly, which is also another. Look, being beautiful, it's got its advantages. Trust me, I understand completely because I know beautiful people. I'm not talking about me. Continue on, Miss Jessie.
I am nothing. I was a prostitute, for God's sakes. I was a prostitute. I stripped every single day. I don't even do that anymore because I make all of my money online.
Yeah, she was. She was a prostitute and a stripper. She's not anymore. because she made all of her money online. So she stripped online, but she didn't do it for sweaty dollar bills. She did it for PayPal. Chad. Oh, goodness me. This is the frustration of just social media in general, because there seems to be weird, like I saw some of her stuff and that's a dime a dozen on Instagram and the Pinterest of the world, and even some on Facebook, although that tends to, now be an older generation. And that's more just people sending each other fake memes about things. But it is, when you look at this, it's a sad situation. And again, if you had your livelihood snatched from you just for a second, even though it's crazy, you figure out how to try to get it back. But dealing with these companies, you do find it to be so bizarre the way that they just say, you're done, but you're okay. And you're like, wait a minute, they were doing the same thing. And I think across the board, that's what people want. They just want transparency, and they want it to be a situation where if you're going to judge everybody, let's all be on the same page. Let's all have the same playing field. And 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Jullian Assange is no mas in the Ecuadorian embassy. He was pulled out today. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with him next, but the British have him in custody. Could he be coming here? It's a possibility. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Jullian Assange arrested here at the Ecuadorian embassy. He's been holed up inside that building for 7 years. Assange, of course, is the founder of WikiLeaks, wanted in connection with the release of thousands of classified documents over WikiLeaks, including the documents stolen by Chelsea Manning concerning U.S. activities during the Iraq and Afghan wars.
Yes, today, a knock on the door. Who is it? It's the Brits. They're coming in. Remember, you got to get a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and okay from the government, because essentially the Ecuadorian embassy is part of Ecuador. You're going into their space. You have no jurisdiction. They've allowed him to be taken. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here, because on top of all of the information, whether it's the WikiLeaks and, for the Democrats, it's like, let's find out how much Russia really did, how much Putin really did order these things. That's what they're kind of hoping to find out. There's people out there that view him as a hero. There's people out there that view him as this vile individual. He's a very complex person and situation. He's a man who started out as a journalist, right? Thought he was doing good, and we'll get deeper into the whole journalism thing, because it does play a part in this. But now what happens from here? And does he come here to the United States? Continue, good sir.
The British, of course, do have an extradition treaty with the U.S., but one big question that they will wrestle with is the death penalty. The U.S. has the death penalty. The British do not. It will be a matter decided in court whether they believe that he would be subject to the death penalty if he were sent to the U.S., and that could be a barrier to his extradition.
Yes, and that is a big, big thing right there, is what do we do? Well, he hasn't killed anybody. No, he hasn't killed anybody. What he has done, potentially, is espionage. And because of that, and the leaking of the information, and then all of this stuff, he could potentially face the death penalty. So what do? You just take it off the table. Sorry, it's not there anymore. Take it off the table. Not there anymore. And then you say, look, he's not going to face the death penalty. We take that off the table. Then he can be extradited. But wait, there's something else that potentially could happen, and it has all to do with the Swedes. Here you go.
The reason he's been arrested is because 7 years ago, an extradition warrant was issued for his arrest on behalf of the Swedish government because there was an allegation of sexual assault. Now, even though that sexual assault case has now closed simply because of lack of time, the time to be able to deal with that has now passed, but the extradition warrant remains and he skipped bail. So the Metropolitan Police say they had a duty to carry out the arrest.
So there's that. So I don't know, this is going to be very interesting to see who lines up for him and who gets him. What would Sweden even do with him if they've got him? Assange is a complex and bizarre individual, a person, it's like he's been hiding out. Producer Phil and I were laughing. He's not hiding out. We know exactly where you are. So it's not really we know where you are. You're in Ecuadorian embassy. There 7 years with your cat, right? And, it's a very interesting situation. 7 years is a long time to be inside. Think about this just for a second. We're paying people right now X amount of dollars. I think it's 18 grand for 2 months to just stay in a bedroom, in a bed. Right? Could you imagine just staying in a room? Or your house for 7 years. Try it for a month. 7 years. Inside. 7 years. Not going anywhere. Now, we're going to charge him with conspiracy to hack. And what that means is he's a journalist, right? Journalists normally get a wide berth in a situation like this where if you are a journalist and you happen to come upon something, somebody hands you something, says, I have information for you. Here is this information. You don't ask them how they got it. You look at it and you say, thank you very much. And then you go on about and do your story. Or you publish the things that you publish. And the journalist is normally free of any kind of criminal activity or charges because they did not directly take part in the stealing of the information. They just happened to come upon it, and then from there, they printed it and do whatever it is that they're doing. The difference, what we're saying here between him being a journalist, which is what he was, to what WikiLeaks is we're saying, nope, you directly played a part in this. You went out and you actively searched for hackers and people who could break into things, and you too were part of the hacking process. So you were actively looking to steal information, knowing full well what you were doing was illegal, and you played a part in that. And because of that, you are no longer a neutral party in this. You're playing an active role, not an inactive role. And because of that, you're going to pay the price for it. His big thing, and I think a lot of people's big thing is we're all wondering is, what you got? What you got? What do you have that we would like on world leaders? That's why there's a rush to get him. It's not just us. Other countries would love to have him because he must have so much information. Some of it's information that we already know because we had it and they stole it from us. But there's other information out there that he probably has that he's been keeping quiet because it's his get-out-of-jail-free card. Not like the Michael Cohen get-out-of-jail-free card, which is really nothing, but the real get-out-of-jail-free card, which is, hey, let me tell you what Putin really did. Hey, let me tell you about Barack Obama. Hey, let me tell you about George H.W. Bush or George Bush or Ronald Reagan or, Benjamin Netanyahu or the Iranians, or let me tell you all the things I have that could make friends, enemies, allies, hate us, and potentially start something. I've got a lot of information, stuff that hasn't come out, and that's the big stuff. All this other stuff, it played here, the hacking of the Democratic emails and all, it played here, but the reality is, did it change anything? No. He's got bigger things out there because that is truly his potential get-out-of-jail-free card. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So William Barr is going to go forward and supposedly look into and investigate how we came upon the Mueller investigation And was there spying on the president? And people on the left are freaking out. This isn't right. You shouldn't do these kind of things. This is exactly how horrible this president is. He's got a guy, and now he's got a lackey that's willing to do anything that Jeff Sessions wasn't willing to do. But, a lot of people have questioned, how do we get upon this? Because, if you think about this for a second. So you got something, right? You got this dossier from this guy who shopped it to several people, seemed to be paid for by several other people in a very weird way. Then it was passed off to a few other people, and then somehow it managed to come into somebody like John McCain's hand, and from there it ended up into Comey's hand, and they were going to investigate into a situation like this, and through that investigation, you find it to be just like ridiculous, the golden showers and all this wacky stuff. You take that, and then you're not quite sure what's going to happen to you, so you give it to your friend who happens to be a professor, who then leaks some of this stuff, and the next thing you know, we're on to some sort of investigation in the role of what Russia played, all based on a dossier put together by a guy who is a failed spy. I think you have every right to ask the question of how did this come about? We know that the Russians were doing stuff, but were you really looking into and investigating and or spying on the Trump campaign? I don't care who it is, right? If the Republicans were in power and they were spying on the Hillary campaign, people have to pay the price for that. Absolutely. We cannot weaponize our government institutions. That is insane. So the left is pushing back, saying this is ridiculous, this is ridiculous, this is ridiculous, you can't do this. No, I think just as much as the Mueller report needs to come out, as much as we can see, right? And I mean everything that we can see. I want the entire process. I want the process of how did you come to your conclusions? I want the process of did you think that there was obstruction, but you knew you couldn't get obstruction because there was no real crime, and so there wasn't really an obstruction. I want the process also is how did you gather your information? What did you do, Mueller? Did you overreach in certain situations, and did you put the clamp down on some other people because you thought, you know what, we're going to come after you for everything because we think you've got information? Did you do some stuff that potentially, you know what, you would have had that stuff thrown out later on and that maybe you overstepped the line? I think all of that needs to be out there. But I also want to know how we got to this point. And I think it's fair. And a lot of people in America, if we're going to go through with this thing, and again, how many of you really care about this? The average person. Not many. Average person still cares about health care. Average person still cares about infrastructure. Average person cares about immigration. They care about their paycheck. But the political side of things, if you're going to go through with it, go through with it all. And I was funny watching a bunch of people today. I was flipping around CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and watching the Democrats dance around this whole thing. You know, Barr's evil. He's a henchman for the president. He's just running, he's a mouthpiece of the president, blah, 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 doing the things that he does. And all the while, when they ask the question, because I will give it to, Jake Tapper and a few other people that really asked the question, well, don't you think it's fair that we do find out that some of this stuff that potentially was going on, that we kind of already know was going on, how we got to that point? Well, I don't think it's that. This just feels like it's a political move. I have news for you. Everything in D.C. is a political move. That's it. It's all it is. It's all politics. It's not about solutions. It's about the politicking of the politicking. It's about the power. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. I love my cat. He's awesome. I can't wait. I'm on a trip right now. I'll be home tomorrow night, hanging out with 3. His litter box is full. He's got a couple litter boxes. And I will tell you, you do not know that we have litter boxes in our houses. You don't. You do not know, because we got pretty litter, and I was totally skeptical. And I'm telling you guys right now, because I'll get some of you guys going, Chad, you talk about pretty litter. Well, your cat litter? I'm like, it's not cat litter. It's cat litter 2.0. It's called pretty litter. It is so incredible. It is the way it absorbs the smell, the odor. You won't even know you have a cat in the house. It's that amazing. And the other thing is, too, is it actually monitors your cat health. So as your cat goes to the bathroom, if it changes certain colors, you can tell that maybe something's wrong with your cat. That way you can get your cat into the vet a little bit quicker. Make sure that you take the stress off yourself, potentially head something off that could cost you money down the line and potentially your cat's life. That's why he put this litter together, because his cat died and he wanted an early detection. And on top of that, there's no stink. And, the bag is so small, you can hold it with 2 fingers and it'll last you a month. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. It's incredible. Get yours today. Save yourself 20% off. Go to prettylitter.com. Use promo code Chad, prettylitter.com, promo code Chad, prettylitter.com, promo code Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
It's stunning to hear the top law enforcement officer in the country talk so cavalierly about spying on a political campaign. This must be very pleasing to Donald Trump, who wants to create a narrative that he's the victim of some deep state coup.
What if, first of all, Adam Schiff, your entire life is being spent trying to destroy Donald Trump? You know, I mean, it's to the point where even people in your own party are grumbling about this. This isn't changing or helping the average American, but this is what your goal is. Your goal is we're coming. This is what I'm all about. Would it be far-fetched? I mean, this is my take on this. If you think that Donald Trump, an American, would conspire with the Russians to alter an election, couldn't it just as easily been said that I think there are people inside of organizations in the government who do not like Donald Trump and would like to do everything in their power to stop him before he becomes president, because maybe, just maybe, we want every little bit of help we can get. Everybody always wants to argue it only goes one way. It doesn't go one way. The right can be bad, the left can be bad. That's the reality of life. Nobody has a monopoly on good ideas, bad morals, good morals. Nobody does. They like to think that, oh yeah, only our side is good. It's not. As human beings will do things. They will make choices. Is it without the realm of possibility that Donald Trump and his family and people with inside the campaign were looking for any dirt they could possibly get? And if they could have gotten it from Ecuador, if they could have got it from, I don't know, Nicaragua, if they could have got it from Canada, would they have tried to get it? Yeah. Because could it not be argued that Hillary was looking for dirt as much as she possibly could? And if she could have got it from Mars, she would have got it? Absolutely. But if you think that he's, hey, I'm calling Pooter up and going, hey, Pooter, guess what? I need you to alter the election. Can you do that for me? No, I just need you to send a few memes and we're going to change a bunch of people's minds and that's going to magically change something, and that he's, somehow in some sort of weird cahoots. Come on. Couldn't it also just be easily to say that there's people inside of the organizations that look at Donald Trump as a threat, not so much to who we are as America or what we think America is, but what they want us to think America is, because they've got their own things they're doing. And they want us as sheeple doing other stuff. And him coming in may upset the apple cart. I think it's absolutely real. 110%. We talk about it all the time. There are their rules and our rules. Their wants and needs, our wants and needs. Yeah. So is it possible? Absolutely. But anybody who has any common sense can go, William Barr's doing something. Is it fair that he's doing it in the way that he's doing it? Or is this just something that Donald Trump wants him to do because he's going to do his bidding, a la Holder did the bidding for Obama, as do most AGs across the board in some way, shape, or form, will try to run and shield off certain things. Am I correct? I think I am. Continue, Mr. Schiff.
The Attorney General has a higher responsibility than simply doing the bidding of the President of the United States. He ought to be looking out for the public interest. And I think his comments really were a disservice to the hardworking men and women of the FBI.
Why? Once again, very sanctimonious. You don't like what you've heard from the FBI and Mueller, so you're a little bit perturbed, and you're going to do everything you can. You know in your heart of heart that somewhere there was collusion, crime that you really can't convict anybody on. And that they're asked the question, was there people inside of here that maybe had nefarious thoughts and put something in motion? Is it possible? That can't happen? No, of course not, because you guys are saints. Nobody's a saint. Everybody's a sinner. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Not being a billionaire, not having investments in Saudi Arabia, wherever he has investments all over the world, mine will be a little bit more boring.
You're a millionaire, though.
I wrote a best-selling book. If you write a best-selling book, you can be a millionaire, too.
Oh, that's all it takes is to be millionaires, write a best-selling book. That was Bernie Sanders. And it's really, talking about his tax returns. It's this bizarre situation where he's embarrassed because he's had success. Because it goes against the narrative out there. He's embarrassed. You can hear it. Well, if you write a best-selling book, that's the only reason I'm a millionaire. Is I wrote a best-selling book, and which is fine. Look, Bernie, I don't care that you're a millionaire. Congratulations. Good. Everybody should want to do that. We should all want. Everybody's got a best-selling book in him. Right? Everybody's got a great invention in him. Not everybody has the drive. Not everybody has the capability, though. Right? Not everybody has. You have. Good for you. Don't apologize for it. My God, what is wrong with you, man? Don't you guys understand how insane that is? It's just insane. I was on the plane yesterday. Dennis Miller, and he was in a joke that said, ask not what your country can do for, you, but what you can do for your country. He says, Bernie's changed that now. What can your country do for you? That's kind of what, he's rolling out his Medicare for All plan, and I'm looking at all of the taxes. There's so many new taxes. And by the way, everybody, be prepared. If he gets what he wants, be prepared. Be absolutely prepared. Everybody feels it. The upper feels it more, followed by just beneath the upper, right? Followed by the upper middle, followed by the middle, followed by the bottom. We're all paying for it. What are we paying for? I don't know. The elimination of freedom in choice. I am 200 yards, 300 yards away for Patrick Henry gave the speech. Give me liberty, give me death. Right? I'm here at the home of so much of what started and what was finished, and then the restarting of our incredible republic and who we are in our country out here in Williamsburg. And I will tell you this right now. Just when you hear Bernie talk about so much of this stuff and the way that he talks, he's embarrassed that he's a success because I don't have investments everywhere. Well, why is that? I have news for you. I hope to get to the big enough point where I'm like, I'd like to invest some money in something and somewhere far away. I've got investments, and you know what? My investments, they probably are invested further away, all over. Well, he's got direct investments. Who cares? Why is being a success a bad thing? This is where the left has a real issue, and the balancing act that's going to be coming is going to be huge. Because the likes of Hickenlooper and some of these ones, like Hickenlooper's, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's like, well, I'm success and. Don't be afraid to be successful. Nobody wants an idiot to be your leader. You want somebody who's successful. And it's amazing when you listen to him talk about, well, if you can write it. People were mad. It was like, well, the way he said it is if anybody could do it. Well, I think anybody can. Not everybody who's written a bestseller is super famous. A lot of people become famous because they've written a bestseller. But it's just amazing, this bizarre world of we're scared of success now on the left, because that means that and it's so funny. It means like, well, you're successful because you had to hurt a bunch of people to get to there. That's not that. No. Good God. That voice that's going to come through, and I will tell you, I'm out here at a convention, a lot of conservative people. And you know what they're afraid of? It isn't the Bernies of the world. It's not Biden. It's not Harris. It's not Beto. To a person, and I've talked to in the last 24 hours about 400 or 500 separate people. And out of those, half of them have talked to me about the upcoming election. And to a man and woman, Peter Buttigieg is gaining more traction, and they fear him more. And even some of these uber conservative people that are here are like, I kind of like what the guy has to say. He's not running away. He's not saying, oh, yeah, you should be a total failure, or you should make sure that government takes care of every ounce of what you've got. And he's not running away from any of those things. He's like, look, we can't pay for some of this stuff. It's just common sense. We're not going to destroy our country so you can give free stuff away. Is he progressive? He's probably not progressive enough for a lot of them. And I think when you listen to the guy, it's very interesting. But I will tell you this right now. Don't apologize for being successful. I will never apologize for being successful. I worked my ass off. I was on a plane for 12 hours yesterday. I've given speeches. I've done all kinds of stuff. I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm doing my radio shows today. I'm on a plane early tomorrow. I'm going to go back. I got all kinds of stuff that I've got to do. I will tell you what, I worked my ass off, and it took me a long time to get here. And I'm never going to apologize for being successful. I'm not going to apologize for the color of my skin. I'm not going to apologize for the tattoos I have. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not. If I've done something wrong, I'll apologize. But the left has got it to the point where success is a bad word. It is bad. That's bad. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. It really is. It is nutty. Yeah, who do you want to run your country? Well, we'd like an idiot, somebody who's failed most of their life. That'd be fantastic. Well, politics is the perfect place to look for. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, yes, kids. We had him on a couple weeks ago. He's very interesting. His name's Dr. Warren Farrell. And, very interesting take about, it's a perfect example of success and why we don't have success in certain areas and why certain people struggle. And in today's world, especially young boys, take a listen.
So what do developed nations have in common? They have in common a much greater propensity for divorce, leaving boys oftentimes without their dads. So dad-deprived boys becomes the number one cause of the boy crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go and look. A perfect example is the inner city. The inner city. Democrats got a hold of a lot of cities. And look, the right has their hypocrisy. I'm not going to lie to you, right? You can see it everywhere. But you go look at inner cities. Most of them are run by Democrats, in many cases for decades. What you've seen is this ridiculous way that a lot of these crazy progressive ideas have helped destroy inner city, in particular African-American communities and communities across the board, especially communities in poor areas where fathers aren't around. You have kids who are growing up fatherless. And you know what they have? They got no discipline. They're looking for something. They're struggling along the way. They're making poor choices. And guess what that gets? Gets you in trouble. And usually along the way, as you go from a young boy to a young man and to maybe a very youngish adult, you usually have a kid or two yourself. And then all of a sudden, through those poor choices, what do you have? You have now left that kid fatherless. And it's rinse and repeat over and over and over and over and over and over again. The cycle is real. People don't want to talk about that, right? Because this is another one of those things. Having a mother and father is better than just having a mother or just having a father. But you can't say that. Because if it's in particular, you can't say that if it's just a woman, but you can't say that because it's just wrong. Do you know much? My mother, who is one of the strongest women, she used to be part of the national organization. She looks back and says, that's all a bunch of crap. The reality is your father being alive would have helped your sister far more than any of the other crap that they're shoveling out there. Your father being alive and in her life would have been so much better. And my dad put us through hell, but he was there for me. But he put us through hell at times. Absolutely. Put us through absolute hell. My sister grew up when we didn't have to struggle anymore. My mom had started to do very well. We had my grandmother, and we lived a very nice life. And you know what? My dad was there, and the discipline was there, and there were certain things there that my mother couldn't give me that my dad gave me, that my sister didn't get. And we turned out completely opposite. She, on the outside looking in, you would say, well, she had it all comparatively to what you had. Yeah. You would look and say that. but she didn't. I had something different that she didn't get. She only had him for a few years, and not through the formative years that would have mattered, which ended up costing tremendously, hence the reason why my mother's raising her 7 kids. Continue, Doc.
All 63 of the largest developed nations in the world, boys were falling significantly behind girls. Their sperm counts were dropping. Their IQs were dropping. The rate of suicide was going up. We need to work on this problem both within the family, and that's with things like family dinner night. We have to learn to do it on the school level so that there is more recess, so there's more vocational training, that there's more male teachers. And we have to do it on the policy level.
Yeah, and that's huge. And it's little things. And you look at even a lot of these athletes who grow up and they come from a single family home. Usually it's their mother and their aunt, or sometimes it's their grandma that's raising them. You know what a lot of them who end up being successful have in their life? They have a man that comes into their life at some point in time, especially during a time when it's really, you're becoming a young man, and it's one of the most important times of your life. And they come in, usually it's a coach or somebody like that who plays a huge role in helping develop that kid and putting them on a path and keeping them on straight and narrow. I read a great article the other day about a principal in Chicago who's decided on Friday and Saturday nights that he's not closing the school. He's opening the school up, and he's inviting the kids, in particular the boys, to come and hang out and do stuff. And you know what he hasn't had this year? He's not had any of his students shot. They have nowhere to go. They have nobody to look up to, in particular boys. And we know boys are more immature at times, and they're quick to do dumber things. And without that leadership, it's huge. It's a massive thing. And we have over the last 2.5, 3 decades, we have so underestimated the role of a father in a child's life. It is a joke. I take my responsibility. All of the things I will ever do in my life, and I have done a lot. Went to Europe when I was a kid, was able to bang around the lower pro soccer leagues over there, came back over here. I was successful in a couple other things, been in radio for 20 years plus, and I've been successful in that. I continue to be successful. For all of the things that I have done, the most important thing I will ever do is be a father. That's it. That is it. Everything else pales in comparison. Most important thing. But we have gotten to the point where fathers don't matter. We've made it so fathers don't matter. We've made it so that. And I remember the whole Murphy Brown thing. Oh, Murphy Brown, and how dare Dan Quayle came out and he did that and he said those things. And I know Dan Quayle reference, right? And all of that stuff. And what ended up happening over the subsequent years? Guess what? You're not Murphy Brown. You're not a successful anchor in one of the largest cities in the country making 7 figures a year. It's crazy. It is. But we have really made it so fathers, you're nothing. And that's wrong. And that's where we need to stand up and say, no. And you ask most women out there, single women, would it have been easier if dad was around? What do you think they're going to say? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Butcher Box is incredible. Dads like to grill, right? Of course we do. We're dads. Men. Women like to grill too. All of us like to grill. Who doesn't like grill? Who doesn't like good meat? Vegans. They're weird. Butcher Box is incredible. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, free organic ranging chicken that's just amazing. The best pork around, sockeyed salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska. The best cuts, the best quality. No antibiotics, none of this wacky stuff in it. It is just meat that's grown ethically and right, and it tastes better than anything. They have 20 different cuts of meat. And you can customize the box that you want. And let me tell you something. Less than $6 a meal, you are never going to find quality in cuts like this anywhere else. It is so amazing. Get yourself some Butcher Box. They're running a deal for my listeners right now, and I will tell you this right now. You will not be disappointed. It's free shipping, comes directly to your door. Get it today. This is what they're doing for you. 2 packs of bacon, which is amazing. First of all, there's no horrible number for bacon except no bacon. 2 pounds of their breakfast sausage. $20 off your first box. Get it now. Go to butcherbox.com/Chad Benson. Butcherbox.com/Benson. Butcherbox.com/Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. You can tweet us. You can Instagram us. You can check us out on the Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. All of those things you can do. And you can go to thechadshow.com. And if you miss any part of this program, you can grab the podcast. It is The Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Jullian Assange is charged in this country for an alleged role in the theft of classified information by former intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning. Federal prosecutors in Virginia accused Assange of helping Manning crack a password to open more sensitive files than Manning's access otherwise allowed. In 2010, WikiLeaks published what Manning stole, including classified information about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and sensitive diplomatic cables that embarrassed the United States and forced the country to relocate confidential sources.
Yep, so he's gone. He's out of the Ecuadorian embassy, and now we'll see who gets him. And that's going to be a huge thing. So Assange, here's a guy, WikiLeaks, the whole 9 yards. He's pulled out of the embassy today, and the British say, oh, you know, he needs to face justice. He's hiding, and the Swedes have they want him for skipping bail. They had him originally. He went into hiding because he was wanted for sexual assault. And that since its sell-by date has gone by where they can prosecute him for that. And him being in the Ecuadorian embassy, he's escaped that. But we want him for other things. And the big thing is journalists are looking at this saying, okay, so he was a journalist. Normally journalists kind of get they do get a pass if they come upon something that somebody has procured, in many ways illegally. And in doing so, what they do with it from there, whether they publish it or, write stories about it and talk a bit about it and release it here and there and do a big expose or however it goes on, they're immune to any kind of prosecution. What the government is saying here is, no. That may be true for journalists, but he stopped being a journalist. He stopped that. What he is a person who was actively seeking out people, helping them, arranging for them to find information, to dig deeper. It wasn't like it was an anonymous source that showed up and goes, look, I've got something I want you to take a look at. You didn't get it from me. Instead, he was actively searching and helping break through barriers that people shouldn't have been going to procure information. And it's not just us, too. And the battle is also who's going to get him, because I'm sure the British would love to know what he knows. Because you know that all of the stuff that he has, right, and he's got a lot of it, we only have a small portion of the meaty, juicy stuff. There's a lot of other stuff that may be embarrassing for certain nations that we don't care about and they don't care about us. And but he's got information that may turn, allies into enemies. And people who are allies, and may make us raise eyebrows about who some of their friends are behind the scenes that we didn't know about, and also world leaders, both politically and business-wise. I'm sure he's got a ton of stuff that could embarrass a lot of people. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But he is out, no longer in the Ecuadorian embassy. He has been freed, thanks to our British friends. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of you. Check us out on Facebook as well, The Chad Benson Show. And Instagram, The IG. It is The Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
Jullian Assange arrested here at the Ecuadorian embassy. He's been holed up inside that building for 7 years. Assange, of course, is the founder of WikiLeaks, wanted in connection with the release of thousands of classified documents over WikiLeaks, including the documents stolen by Chelsea Manning concerning U.S. activities during the Iraq and Afghan wars.
Yes, he is arrested. Ecuador said, no mas, you've got to go, and out he has gone. And it's going to be very interesting to see what takes place here in the coming weeks and months, where he's going to end up. And look, this was a guy who because of WikiLeaks, we've got so much information, good, bad, or indifferent. Some people look at him as a hero. Other people look at him as a pariah and a spy. How he went about doing these things was always questionable, hence the reason we've charged him with something over here, which is conspiracy to hack. And normally journalists would not be charged with anything. They kind of have immunity when it comes to stuff because normally journalists don't play an active role in getting something illegally. It's usually handed to them. Somebody's done the dirty work and they hand them something, where we were saying, hold on a second here. You went out and you actively pursued people and you pushed people, and maybe you even attempted along the way to hack with people and help them procure these things. So you were an active member, not an inactive, standing around, non-biased. Somebody hands you something, says, here's something you should look at. You didn't get it from me. Totally different. So it's very interesting. Here's more about Assange.
The reason he's been arrested is because 7 years ago, an extradition warrant was issued for his arrest on behalf of the Swedish government because there was an allegation of sexual assault. Now, even though that sexual assault case has now closed simply because of lack of time, the time to be able to deal with that has now passed, but the extradition warrant remains and he skipped bail. So the Metropolitan Police say they had a duty to carry out the arrest.
Yeah, they had a duty to carry out the arrest. Now, is he going to go to Sweden? That is a possibility. Extradition to America is a trickier one. Britain doesn't extradite to countries who have the death penalty if you're facing the death penalty. We have the death penalty for treason. People say, well, he hasn't killed anybody. Yeah, he doesn't have to. We do have the death penalty for that. So is that a possibility? Yes. Is it likely? No. Will we take it off the table? Absolutely. Absolutely, we'll take it off the table because it's silly for us not to take it off the table. The bigger battle is going to be who gets him first, because the reality is he's got information that everybody wants. If you think we have seen the biggest, we haven't. There's other stuff out there. Why is that? Because he was always going to hold on to the things that he thought would get him out of jail. Spending forever in jail is not something he wants to do. So he will do what he has to do to keep himself out of jail. How do I know that? Because he spent 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. That's how I know that. He didn't look thrilled today, even though he gave a thumbs up. He looked a little frustrated and scared as they hogtied him and put him into the paddy wagon. What does it mean for us? Well, it means we're going to probably get him here at some point in time, and we're going to find out, what do you know? What do you know to the point where we can get some of that information, and while it may never go public, it will always be something behind the scenes that we have over somebody else that we can dangle out there when it comes to both our allies and enemies? Absolutely. What do you have on us that we can kill? Well, that's always a possibility, too. So there's a lot that is going to happen. Trump today was asked about this.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
Although you were pretty darn excited about it. You remember that? I love WikiLeaks. 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 For some people, that's conspiring right there. You were prodding them to go and do stuff like that. A lot of people want to know, too, and I think, the Democrats want to know, and he has said over and over again, what? That Russia did not give him any of the information when it came to the DNC and any of this other stuff. He may, him coming here, that may give some people some answers. But it all depends on what he's going to do. Chelsea Manning is right now, I believe, sitting in jail because she refuses to talk about this anymore, and she's going against her violation of her probation. So this is not over by any stretch. This is just the beginning of what is going to be the next chapter, and who knows what that next chapter is going to look like. I couldn't tell you really what it looks like, but I do know that the players in the game want to get to him first, because getting to him first is going to ensure you're going to have the best opportunity to A, cut him the best deal, and B, and this is most importantly here, you're going to get the best information. And that information is key. There's a reason that we have all these investigations going on all the time, because everybody's looking for what? Information. The person usually with the most information about things knows what's coming, can prepare for it, and then can go up against it in a way that the other side doesn't. So his information potentially could be massive, and it could be a real get-out-of-jail-free card. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Miss Nancy Pelosi, ladies and gentlemen.
What would be the proper adjective? Shameful, sad, irresponsible of the President of the United States and the Republicans on the Intelligence Committee to take the actions that they have. They're just plain afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of competence. I'm so proud of the work of Chairman Adam Schiff.
He's a boob. He's a dipshiff. He's awful. There you go. He is. He is singularly coming after Trump and continuing to do so. And here's the thing that she said. Competent. So if we're to believe that Mueller did a thorough investigation, right, which is what everybody on the left would say, this Mueller guy, even people on the right were like, Mueller, he's an upstanding guy. He's going to give you a real deal. If we are thoroughly to believe that he went through and did everything that was possible in finding something, and his conclusion was, I really don't know if we can do obstruction, but as far as the collusion, I find no evidence of collusion. He's not competent enough, and it's not real that he did this and went out and did all this investigation. It's not a real investigation now, and that Adam Schiff has to dig deeper because he's not competent enough. In fact, he's incompetent. He's incapable of doing a real investigation? Or is it because you just didn't get what you want, and Adam Schiff is going to be the person who has been tasked with doing everything in his power to do what the American people want, which is what? Healthcare, immigration, infrastructure? No. Just singularly going after Trump. Continue, Nancy. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, thank you, Mr. Attorney General. We do not need your interpretation. Show us the report, and we can draw our own conclusions. We don't need you interpreting for us. It was condescending, it was arrogant, and it wasn't the right thing to do. So the sooner they can give us the information, the sooner we can all make a judgment about it.
Yeah, and they're not happy with Barr right now because he's looking into investigation. How do we get to the point where we actually have an investigation? We actually have a Mueller report. Somewhere along the line, there was a lot of information that was passed through. It seemed to be bought and paid for, and at times fabricated to the point of nobody's buying it. But yet, somewhere out of this wacky dossier, we have 2 years of what? I'm just curious. What do we have 2 years of? We have 2 years of an investigation that you said that once you got that special counsel, once that started to happen, once Barr was appointed, once it started to go in motion, everybody was told, well, whatever he comes up with, we're going to buy. When you find out that there's nothing there that suits your fancy, then you all of a sudden, well, we don't trust this. We don't trust this, so we're going to have to push harder. It's not over. And Barr now wants to look into the investigation of, hey, how did we get to this point? Which I think is totally fair. I want to know how we got to this point. I'm curious about it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter to the average person in America, right? But for me, who follows politics, I kind of do want to know. I want to know how also all these people that pled guilty, all these people are investigated, some of them, for the few that they got, right? Well, they got a bunch. Yeah, but how many of them were on what? They lied. Well, I spoke to Ukrainian, but I didn't tell you I spoke to Ukrainian. I lied about that. So that does, but today's Obama's general counsel has been indicted for lying about whether or not he was working the Ukrainians. I mean, it's just, this is the silliness of the world that we live in. But I want to also know, who are the people that you went after, that you found nothing on? What kind of pressure did you put on them? How did you turn their life upside down? What kind of hell? I want to know the method in going on. I want to see the whole thing as much as we possibly can see. And the Democrats know they can come out and say we need to see everything, knowing full well that by law you can't see everything, because there's some stuff under the grand jury that you're just not allowed to see. So, and those are your rules. You made the rules. Let's remember that. You made the rules, and you don't like the rules you made. So understand that. So Barr's going to investigate. We're going to see what happened. Is something going to get done? I don't know what's going to happen with this. Could there potentially, as I was speaking to a few people earlier, you think that Trump did all of these things. You're pretty sure that he did, and that's the kind of person he is. But you couldn't fathom that somebody who works in our intelligence agencies, in our investigative units, right, from the FBI to the CIA and everywhere else, you couldn't imagine that they would spy on a potential person that they didn't like as a candidate? You couldn't imagine that somebody who's been so entrenched in Washington, D.C., and that entire, engine that is D.C. for as long as they have been, the Clintons couldn't have reaches in certain agencies that couldn't have, that is unfathomable to you. But Trump and Russia, totally conceivable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. CarShield is amazing. I love them. They've treated me really well. I've treated my family and friends really well. If you have a car and you're worried, like the what if I'm driving and my engine blows up? What happens then? Oh, it's going to cost me, oh my God, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Do what I did. Get CarShield. It makes the cost of cover repairs virtually minimal because you pay a small deductible, and outside of that, they take care of the rest. If I take care of the rest, I have 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, and that shop is the shop you choose. Let's say I want to take it to the dealership. You take it to the dealership. They get them paid directly, right? You pay a small deductible, and away you guys go. And the rental car, never discount a rental car. If you're without a car for 4 or 5 days, it's ride share, it's buses, it's bumming rides off friends. Yeah, a rental car will do you just fine. And you don't have to pay for that? That's a winner chicken dinner. Do what I did. Get CarShield. It is simple. It is easy. Check out all the plans they have. Go to carshield.com. Use my code Benson. Look at all the plans. Maybe you want a plan for your motorcycle, whatever it is that you have. There's a certain plan for you. It fits you perfectly. Or you can call 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. That's their new number. Make sure you use my code Benson. It saves you 10%. Or CarShield, code Benson, saves you 10%. A small deductible will apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Secretary Kerry, do you think that appointing a federal panel that questions 26 years of established climate science be responsible for the loss of American life?
It could be.
So I think what we have laid out here is a very clear moral problem. And in terms of leadership, if we fail to act, or even if we delay in acting, we will have blood on our hands.
Oh, blood on our hands. That's fear. Fear kids is wonderful. Chad, do you believe the climate that yeah, I think we play a role. Absolutely. We're 7 billion of us on this planet. Of course we play some sort of role. Is it a role that we think and a lot of people want you to think we play? That's debatable. I mean, again, we can go back to medieval times and it was warmer. Well, we can explain that with this, that, and the other. Can you, though? Because you're always trying to give us something of why you would explain it. And there's always something where, well, these things didn't really work the way we thought, or maybe because of this, or maybe because of that. And there always seems to be a debate. I love clean air. I love clean water. We need to do more to take care of the planet that we are currently living on, just in case we end up moving to another one because we're really trying. Or maybe we're not even real, according to an MIT scientist who believes that there's more likelihood that we're actually just a simulated game. But the reality is this is the planet we live on. This is our home. So what are we going to do? We need to take better care of it. That's it right there. And we need to do it in a responsible way that doesn't destroy our economy. But not in a way where when I was a kid growing up, it was, we're going to an ice age, right? By the way, an ice age is 10 times worse than global warming, right? So the warming of the planet is not as bad as the freezing of the planet. The freezing of the planet will do a lot of things bad for us. The warming of the planet has actually seen us, if you look, the correlation between us living longer, growing more crops, doing more things, you look at the correlation, it's huge. The freezing of the planet is not a good thing. Continue, AOC, sorry.
Neglecting to address these threats could contribute to the loss of American life.
Yes.
Do you think that denial or even delaying in that action could cost us American lives?
Yes.
How? Just curious. Again, but this is the problem I have with all of these things. It doesn't matter what it is, right? It's the right, the left, the screaming, the psychology of how we try to scare people into doing things. And the bill of sale that we give them, knowing full well that we're selling them a bunch of junk, right? It's as seen on TV is what we have in politics anymore, as seen on TV, which is where you scare people to death. They're coming to take away this. They're coming to take away that. They're coming to take this. They're coming. We're all going to die. If in 12 years that we don't get to the point where we've done some of these things, it's going to be irreversible damage done to the planet, and it'll never, ever be. Stop that. That's ridiculous. It's not going to happen. And what we're doing, and this is the other thing, for all the things that people on the left want to say, oh, America needs to do this, that, and the other. You know what America needs to do? If you guys really want to get serious with this, then we need to be strong enough to hold the rest of the world, including our allies and trading partners, absolutely 100% accountable for not really doing the things that need to be done. Because according to you, we don't need to do these little itty-bitty microscopic things. We need to do huge, massive things that are just, in America alone, come on. It's not. It just can't be us. Do you think India and China are going, oh, yeah, they could sign on to every Paris climate accord you have out there, and then they'll go home and burn it and continue to do what they do? If we're serious, and this is really what's going to happen, and that we're all doomed, then we better figure it out, right? I've seen the movie Armageddon, right? I've seen these movies. They have a plan. Our plan seems to be we're all going to drive electric cars and get rid of cows. Doesn't work that way, kids. We got to do better. We got to do better. But the fear factor along the way. I tell my friends who are sold, you know what they are? They're zealots. They've stopped being people that you can have a lot of conversations with when it comes to this. They're zealots. They are so sold for this. And having a conversation, you can't have a conversation. They don't care about what you have to say. And you can't reason, and you can't speak to, debate. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It doesn't. It goes to hell in a handbasket, and it does it fast. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. She had something in her eye. We're going to talk about that. A girl wanted to do something on President Trump at school, and the school said, nah. We'll talk about that as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Let us see the report. It's no use speculating on it. The fact is that this president has engaged in activities that are unethical, un-American in terms of taking babies out of the arms of their moms, unpatriotic, in every way he is unfit to be president of the United States.
By the way, that whole baby thing, again, you didn't bitch under Obama. You didn't bitch about it with Bush. You didn't bitch about it. We act like this thing hasn't gone on and on and on. And remember, there was a big case with Obama because Obama wanted to hold people longer together. But the case was, hey, you know what? We can keep the parents, but we can't keep the kids. And all of a sudden you're looking around going, well, it's just all Trump. And it's infuriating. And she is, she's infuriating. But this is politics. Again, as seen on TV. Take it for a grain of salt. Take it for a grain of salt. They rabble-rouse, they turn around, and they shout to their crowds. They get their base riled up, and it's all about feelings, very little about fact. It's, I could sit here all day. There's so much stuff that you can do with Trump where you can pick and you can come after him for. There's plenty of places that you can do that with Trump. Right? I got no problems with that. I got people on the right who are mad at Trump because he didn't do this or he didn't do that. People on the left who just can't stand him because he's a horrible human being, blah, 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 blah. I get that, right? That's fine. You know what? You have every right to have your feelings. But the reality is if you're going to go out there and you're going to come after him, he's addressing stuff that you guys dropped the ball on for years, right? DACA's a perfect example. Just like Trump and them couldn't get anything done with Obamacare when they had everything. When it came to DACA, you guys had everything. You didn't get anything done. You both turned a blind eye to an immigration problem. You're still trying to figure out how he won, so it's got to still be somebody else that helped him do it. He's unethical. He's awful. He's all of those things. You know what else he is? He's the president. He's the president. Like it or not, he's still the president. Like it or not, you're not going to impeach him. Because you don't have the votes unless there's something that's inside this report that Barr completely lied about. And I don't think that's true. And I think Mueller didn't find anything enough to rise to the point where you can say, oh, no, none of those things. He's still the president. And this fight will go on, and what you're going to get is as seen on TV politics, probably for the rest of forever, because apparently this is what we have become. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So a little girl wanted to do an assignment, and the school said, nah. Check it out.
I'm incensed that a teacher would have my daughter do that.
Emotions ran high at tonight's Sachem School Board meeting when Arthur and Valerie Moscato confronted board members about what they call an act of intimidation and censorship against their 11-year-old daughter, Bella. The Moscatos say Bella's teacher told her she couldn't pick President Donald Trump as the subject of a hero project.
She said that I wasn't allowed to do Donald Trump because he spreads negativity and says bad stuff about women.
Oh, my God. First of all, can we all appreciate the accent? I was absolutely freaking incensed. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of crap. So your daughter wants to do something on Trump, right? So, and your teacher comes to you and says no, because he says bad things, right? He hurts people's feelings. He says bad things about women. He hurts people's feelings. Well, wait a minute here. There's a lot of bad people out there who say stuff that we don't like. Well, no. He hurts people's feelings. Look, again, I don't like some of the stuff he tweets. I don't like the way that he acts at times. I don't like the things he says. But this is a perfect example of when people talk about what goes on in the wackiness in schools. This isn't a college even. You know, a young lady who wants to do this. She finds him to be the hero. So what? That, to me, you're taking a political stance. You're not supposed to be taking a political stance, but we all know they do. Continue the story.
Bella says her teacher made that statement in front of another teacher and students in the class. The sixth grader also says her teacher ordered her to pick another hero.
The thing I didn't get, she was okay with somebody doing Barack Obama, but not okay with doing Donald Trump. That's what got me angry. And I didn't like that.
And that's, you know, when I talk to people who are conservative and people who are liberal, and it's a perfect example when you look at social media. It's a great example. People just want the field leveled, right? Like if you overstep in an area, no matter what side you're on, you should be held to the same standards, right? Where too often not, you're not held to the same standards. And that's where people get frustrated. So you mean to tell me I can do something on Barack Obama because he was touchy-feely and he was really sweet and kind and he was nice and he was but I can't do something on Trump because he's rough and he's obnoxious at times and he's a braggart and he says awful things because in this day and age, sticks and stones kill you. They don't kill you, not like names do. Names do. Names kill everybody now. Words kill everybody. That's the frustration that people have. And you know what? As her parents. Like I would do the people say, what if Jack wanted to do Barack Obama as a hero? I'm like, I don't care. Do it as a hero. That's great. I got no problem with that. Do any president, right? Any president, if you want to do it as your hero, knock yourself out. And this is where I always laugh because it's like the same thing here. You know, it's like the left always they always want stuff on their playground to be a defined area. Right? And they don't want anybody to come over into their area. And if anything bleeds under there, they freak out about it. The right, I will say, I ask people on the left to come on my show all the time. They don't do it. I ask them all the time to come on. I think next week we've got a Democratic strategist coming on, which is great because we look for it. I always tell Anthony and all of them, hey, if you have a chance, you go out and you find people. I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from the left. I want to hear from the right. I want to have the debate. I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to share ideas. I want to be able to do all these things. Too often not, they won't. You know, Steve Bannon, when I talk to Steve Bannon, he's like, look, I only want to go on left-leaning shows. Why? Because I want to be able to talk about things. I want to be able to debate things. You know, whether it's the Shapiros of the world, this, that, and the other, they're willing to go into the lion's den and take things on. You very rarely get that at all. And you see it from the craziness and lunacy of the world like this, where a little girl wants to do a report on Barack Obama. You're fine, but if you want to do it on Donald Trump, somehow you're an evil, bad person. We're not finished. Continue, sir.
My daughter's hero is the president of our country. I can't believe that anybody in a school would tell my daughter something that guy can't be her hero. I'm incensed by this.
Yeah, you should be incensed by this. You should absolutely. I'm right now in Williamsburg. one of the founding places on our soil here in this country, where our founding fathers walked before we were founded. Washington and Jefferson, Franklin, Henry. Give me liberty, give me death. Could you imagine if you went today and said, I'm going to do something on George Washington? He owned slaves, you can't do it. That's coming. We're whitewashing history. We're playing these games, and they're doing it with younger and younger kids, and it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Continue.
This was really frustrating to me because, my daughter has every right to do and pick a hero of her choice. It's a First Amendment right, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. So it was really upsetting to me that she was trying to shut her down.
Yeah. Trying to shut her down. Because that's what a lot of people want to do. I just don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You have every right to be pissed. Look, you may not like her choice, right? Like, I'm sure if somebody came to me and said, I want to do Che Guevara, and I'm like, I don't like the choice, but if it's well written and you put together something as a reason why that you believe that Che Guevara should be your hero, then that's great. I'll take a look at it, and I will grade it accordingly as how it's well written and how you've put it together from top to bottom and the whole 9 yards. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm not going to tell you no. That's what we have. That's why people are frustrated. People are frustrated more and more every day. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you have something in your eye? Oh, listen to this.
At least you don't have bees under your eyes. Doctors treating a Taiwanese woman for a swollen eye were shocked to find 4 tiny bees living under her left eyelid. Apparently, the woman had been visiting a family member's grave. She thinks that's when the insects flew into her eye. Experts say bees are known to live near graves and fallen trees. Listen to this. The bees were living off of her tears.
It's ugly. Now, not the kind of bees that we think. People are like, when I first heard it, I'm like, how in God's name are those bees? They're sweat bees. That's what they call them over there. Their bees are small, and she thought she had like something in her eye. It started getting worse, and then it started getting even worse, and then it got to the point where it was swollen shut almost, and the pain was excruciating. When she went to the hospital, and they looked under the microscope, and they said, oh, my God, I see a leg, and they started pulling this out. These bees are little, and normally they land on people, and they live literally off your sweat. That's what we call them, sweat bees. They can live off your perspiration and stuff like that. So they were living off of her tears, and they took 4 of them out of her eye. 4 of them. The reason she didn't go blind, I found this to be interesting, the reason she didn't go blind is because she had contact lenses, and the contact lenses stopped her from being in a situation that was far worse that would have cost her sight. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Pretty litter is amazing. I love my animals. Can't wait to see them on my traveling. Can't wait to get home. I know that my house isn't going to smell because I have Pretty Litter, and Pretty Litter takes care of that smell, that odor emanating from the cat box. 3 has been known to go to the bathroom in there. And guess what, guys? People ask me all the time, why Pretty Litter? I'm like, this is weird. I said, are you kidding me? First of all, I love my animals. Secondly, they can be smelly at times. Not with Pretty Litter. It crushes the odor. You don't smell any of it. And the other thing is it monitors cat's health. You know, when you clean out the cat box, you can tell if it changes colors, it may be something wrong with your cat. Time to take him into the vet, and you can find out if the cat is sick and potentially save you money, save you stress, and maybe even save you the cat's life. Get yours today. Right now, save 20% right there. Go to prettylitter.com. Use my code Chad. Save yourself 20%. Prettylitter.com, code Chad. Prettylitter.com, code Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. You can check out the Instagram as well. It is the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
I am out here visiting in beautiful Williamsburg. You like my wallet there? My buddy Dan here, Dan Weber's here, founder and CEO of AMAC, is with us, and we're out here, and he was kind enough to fly me out here, and it's just been an amazing thing. First and foremost, isn't it just interesting being around here, Dan? Just like this is where so much of it all began in the country that we love.
That's right. We see the taverns where George Washington and Ben Franklin and Patrick Henry would go for a drink after their meetings, and it's just the historic holy ground we're standing on is amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible. So you're the founder and CEO of AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, and it's interesting because, for years everybody knows who the big elephant in the room is, which is ARP. But I don't think a lot of people, unless you go look on Open Secrets, understand that ARP is pretty left-leaning in a lot of ways. And you said,
Unfortunately, they are.
We've got to make a change, and we've got to give something for the right side of the aisle. Tell us a bit about how you came about doing that.
Okay, well, when we realized how far to the left, unfortunately, AARP apparently was taken over by a bunch of people from the far left, people who believe in more government. They were pitching Medicare for All 10 years ago. And, of course, they're big fans of Obamacare. Without them, we would not have had Obamacare. Obamacare hurt seniors. It took money out of Medicare Advantage plans, and it hurt the whole health system in the country. And they supported it, even though polls of their members showed 85% of the people were happy with their health insurance. Of course, they went and had government take over, and then the government couldn't handle it. So a lot of the insurance companies operating under restrictions from the government couldn't insure people anymore unless they wanted to stay in business and lose money year after year. So they stopped writing policies, and then the government wanted to take more coverage. I think it's all a plan to have socialized medicine, and we know what that does. We just look at Great Britain. They just had a strike. The nurses had a strike. The doctors had a strike a month ago. People were rioting in the streets because in America you visit a doctor and they find a lump or something. You get an MRI in a few weeks. It takes 6 months in Great Britain if you pass their guidelines, which are really weird. The government has taken over the healthcare, and the healthcare system in Great Britain has gone down tremendously. The only thing it's good for is if you have a cold or sniffles and you want to go in and get some cold medicine, you can go in right away and they take care of you. But other than that, if you have anything serious, God forbid, they have waiting lists for months and even years to get an MRI.
It is, it's funny. I lived in England for off and on for a decade, and I always tell everybody if you've got a sore, if you got a sore arm or a broken arm or something like that, and it's just quick and easy, it's nice to go and do. But the reality is, if it's something serious, there's other places you'd rather be, and one of them's here.
That's right.
And so you put the organization together, and you said, we need to find an alternative. You want to give a voice to people out there, and it's blossomed.
Yes, it has, and thank God for people like you, Chad. You've brought in tens of thousands of new members. I don't know how you do it. You must have some loyal audience.
I do. The best audience around, and they're free thinkers, and they think about it, and they look at what you guys offer, and your benefits are incredible. And I hear so many people say, "Oh my God, the benefits are great," but it's just they were frustrated too because they felt like they didn't have a voice, and that's a lot of what you have to do. And you know this more than anything anymore is you have to have a voice in Washington, and if you don't have a voice, you're not going to get anything done.
One of the great benefits, Chad, that a lot of our members are not even aware of, we have set up, we trained a half dozen people on Social Security. They became certified Social Security advisors, and they know a tremendous amount about Social Security. So if any of you folks at home have any questions on Social Security, just go to amac.us and look up the 800 number, call the 800 number. And I'll give you the main number. It's 888-262-2006. And you call them and say, connect me with the Social Security experts, and you'll get somebody on the line, and they'll be able to give you free counseling. They won't charge you. They won't ask you to donate money. It'll just you tell them your problem, and they'll tell you the answer. And that's probably one of the most appreciated ones because people have called Social Security, and Social Security has millions of questions to answer every day, and sometimes they get confusing answers. And we've gotten so many compliments from people who go to our 800 number for Social Security, and they keep thanking us for expert advice without any pressure. And we just ask you questions about yourself and try to help you figure out what's the best thing for you to do with Social Security, especially if you have situations like you've been married, you don't know, and maybe you're married a second time, you don't know if you collect for your first spouse's Social Security, your second spouse's, or whether you should collect it all under your own name or whatever. And that's what our advisors are there to help you with. And we get many dozens of calls a day, and we're delighted to help people out. That's one of the things I'm proudest of the most.
Which is great, and as we talk about this, it's we're a society that's becoming, we're getting much older. The baby boomers are retiring. People are going to need services, and a lot of people out there need a voice they feel that they can trust. And I'm talking to a ton of members out here. It's just they come together and they're like, there's a voice out here that we feel we didn't have, and that somewhere along the line, that started to go in a direction that just a lot of people felt uncomfortable with, and you guys came along. And thank you for that. Dan Weber is founder and CEO of AMAC. Appreciate you coming on today. Thanks so much.
Pleased to shake your hand, Chad. You're a great guy. Great American, really.
Oh, man, makes me feel good. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.